Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuhu. How are you all today? Jazakallah khair for joining us again, Sister Shanaz. And if anybody else is there, please do pop your comments in the chat. Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi, Sister Adila. Thank you so much for joining us again, Sister Shanaz. And if anybody else is there, please do pop your...
Not quite sure why Sister Sarah's echoing. I think there might be a bit of a sound error.
All right, are we okay now?
Yeah, just try it again. Has it
Did it
stopped?
stop talking?
I don't know if you have to stop talking for us to find out.
No, I did. I muted it and I stopped. All right, inshallah, I think it's gone now. Alhamdulillah. All right. Sorry, sisters. I hope you didn't mind that double introduction, but it's fine, inshallah. So Jazakallah khair, like we said, for joining us. Please do pop your comments in the chat. We are ready again to talk to you. We want to talk to you. We want to see how you're feeling today and how you're feeling about Ramadan. Are you ready for it? Do you feel that you're getting prepared? How did you manage on the house task yesterday? So alhamdulillah, I was motivated yesterday, but today I'm not motivated again. What about you, Sister Farida?
Yeah, I felt motivated yesterday, and I did clean all my mirrors, to be honest.
Oh, wow.
And I did the windows, and I kept it to a time. I thought, let me try it. And I thought, if I don't try it today, I'm not going to try it tomorrow. So I thought, let me try that. Like you, I haven't done anything today. I didn't plan on doing anything anyway. But I may plan something in for tomorrow around my kitchen cupboards. Give them a bit of a wipe and put things back, because I've got things in there that are purely out of date that I need to get. Do you know what I mean? And I need to give them a bit of a wipe. So I think I'm going to tackle two cupboards tomorrow. But yeah, I found it really helpful.
Fantastic, isn't it? So it's got you going in that kind of sequence of, right, okay, what can I do? Because now we're not concentrating. I feel we're not concentrating on the work now, because we're looking at the time, aren't we? And we're like, everyone's got 15 minutes to spare, isn't it? Mashallah. Jazakallah khair for that, Sister Dila. She said she's enjoying the loving and can't say the word, knowledgeable advice. It took me a bit of time, that one, didn't it? Mashallah, Jazakallah khair for that. We are aim to please, and we are here to help you. So today we have shared the challenge. You've seen it hopefully in your emails. So the challenge today is to get your prayer area ready. Okay, now obviously everyone knows that the whole entire earth, mashallah, is a place of prostration, right? Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, said you can pray everywhere, obviously not in certain impure places, but the earth is pure. So even if you need to, you can go on the side of the road, you can go on grass if you want to pray. And a lot of people don't know this as well, but it's actually you can actually pray with your shoes on, especially if you're outside, and it's more comfortable for you not to remove all your shoes and everything. Then you can even pray with your shoes on, and we see that a lot out here. But I think again in the UK and US we're a little bit more conservative, and I see most people would probably remove their shoes, but it's absolutely fine, sisters. Again, it's a fiqh issue, so just double check with your personal sheikhs, inshallah. But according to my fiqh, it is absolutely fine. Alhamdulillah. What we have been doing is talking about having a little area in your house that you can actually sit down, kneel down and pray. Now, why did we talk about this, or why did we have this as a challenge? Okay, is because most of us would just pray. I feel, well, I do anyway. Do you just pray anywhere, wherever you feel like it, Sister Farida?
No, I haven't. Yeah, I've tried different spaces at home, but there's one area where I feel really at peace. So I've stuck with that space for me.
Oh, mashallah, that's really nice.
The others will pray anywhere. I've tried in the different bedrooms and in the front room. I've tried different areas, but I just feel at peace kind of in that one area.
That's really interesting, isn't it? I tend to, whatever room I'm in, as long as there's a spare bit of carpet or rug there, I'll just get up and pray. I feel like going to a particular place is kind of a bit stressful for me sometimes. And I know, like in my mum and dad's house, if we're outside in the garden, I'll just pray there. I really don't mind. Here it's kind of a bit hot on the floor, so you need to come inside. But but I've been out there and just playing with the kids. So you just get out. You can get out a prayer rug if you want, or you can just pray on the grass. Alhamdulillah. And what that does, it does give you the freedom of praying just anywhere, obviously, and it enables you to not have any of those barriers, like, oh God, where am I going to pray? Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
As long as you've got a clear sort of area, then inshallah you can pray. However, today we're going to actually say to you, do what Sister Farida does. And like you said, sister, I think, Sister Farah Halabi, you're here, mashallah. Sorry, I didn't notice you. I was talking away. Walaikum salam. Thank you so much for joining us.
Oh, no worries at all. Sorry, I'm late.
No, it's absolutely fine. We're just talking about the prayer area and trying to get a nice, lovely area in your house. Mm-hmm. Like Sister Farida said, if you've got an area in your house, you do tend to relate that to praying. Right, which means that as soon as you see that in the corner of in your room, let's say, or on which room that you keep just for praying, as soon as you see that prayer area, you psychologically will calm down, and you'll start to think about prayer, and it will help you to gain that khushu that everyone really wants in prayer. Right.
I'm the same with the prayer mat as well. Sorry. So it's a prayer mat that I've had for over 20 years. And some of it's free, but it's from my mum's brother who's passed away. And he gifted it to me 20 years ago. So even though it's frayed and I could buy a new one, for me, that prayer mat it's that connection.
Yeah.
Don't get me wrong, I do pray on other prayer mats and I'll pray elsewhere. But that's where I feel really at peace.
It is. That's wonderful, mashallah.
Lovely. I have a hijab that my nanny who's passed away gave to me. And when I pray in that as well, that feels quite special. But it's what you were talking about, it's relating that I don't know, muscle memory, that habitual kind of thing. It's getting you, it's basically getting you into the best start, into the best mindset, into the best physical sense possible to go and do your prayers. So definitely all helps. And yes, like I said, I'm awfully sorry that I'm late and I've got a whole little spiel ahead, so inshallah.
No, that's fine. And we'll just say salam to the sisters that have joined in us. Assalamu alaikum again, Sister Anjum. And Sister Shanaz said she finds it most peaceful in her bedroom. So yeah, that's lovely, isn't it? So if you find that area that you like, that you enjoy, and you kind of, again, you relate prayer to that place, and then it will initially, even when you're having those stressful days, when it's been really mad day and you've been off your feet all day, when you get to that prayer mat, you will feel that sense of calm, because that's where you associate feeling calm with, right? So especially when you're not busy and you've had a lovely day and you're just really, really happy, and then you go to pray on your prayer mat, so you start connecting those feelings. So it is, like we said, a little bit psychological, which is lovely, mashallah. So we're not going to waste more time, inshallah. So Sister Farah, she doesn't need any introduction, but she is, mashallah, a peaceful parenting coach. I've lost my thing now. I don't normally have it written down, but mindful, mashallah, Muslimah parenting coach. Is that right? Did I get it right?
It's not, no, but it's fine. It's okay.
It's around that, somewhere around that. Okay.
Sounds lovely though.
Yeah, no, mashallah, you do. But she does teach from the science of the Nafs from the Quran and Sunnah. So, mashallah, that's the most important part, mashallah. And Sister Adila said she tends to make an area in different rooms in the house so the kids can learn to pray. That's actually a very important point that I wanted to mention, so thank you for reminding me about that, in the fact that a lot of us do tend to go to like some secretive room far away. It is nice to pray with the kids, because obviously they will get that habit as well with you. And in the same way that if you pray, like, for example, a lot of the time I'll pray in the living room because that's where I end up, obviously. But, you know, turning off the TV, telling them, you know, things like that. And it just, even though they're not praying yet or they're not old enough, you know, to pray regularly, that it just gives them that reminder to like get into the mode of praying. So yeah, I love that as well, mashallah. And also, you don't have to find the quietest place in the house, but what will happen is when you make that area, the children will relate it to quietness. So if you want a bit of peace and quiet and your house is normally really, really loud, if you just take everyone into that area, automatically they will calm down. And it happens a lot with teachers. Sorry, I'm talking a little bit too much, but I do have one last thing to say. With teachers as well, you'll notice that the teachers that are good with behavior management, okay, the children will come into their room and they will calm down. It doesn't matter where they've been, how rowdy they've been, if they've been in PE or drama or somewhere where they've been shouting and screaming and everything. Once they come into your room, they tend to really calm down. Yeah, if you have a teacher that hasn't got that with them, usually the newer teachers, it takes them time to calm them down. But if they're used to it, then they will. So again, they relate it to that area. So it's really, really good idea. Jazakallah khair for that, Sister Adila. And I'm definitely not going to talk anymore. I will just give the whole screen to Sister Farah. Here we are. There you go. Bismillah.
Jazakallah khair. So assalamu alaikum, ladies. Again, apologies for being late. And so actually, before I start my session, I thought, seeing as we're talking about all things blessed and Ramadan and establishing that connection, I'll start with a little dua, the opening dua. So, in alhamdulillahi nahmaduhu wa nasta'inuhu wa nastaghfiruhu wa na'udhu billahi min shururi anfusina wa min sayyiati a'malina man yahdihillahu fala mudilla lahu wa man yudlil fala hadiya lahu. Alhamdulillah, indeed all praise is due to Allah. We praise Him and we seek His help and forgiveness. We seek refuge in Allah from our soul's evils and our wrongdoings. He whom Allah guides, no one can misguide, and he whom He misguides, no one can guide. Sorry about that, ladies. Welcome to day 3 of the Amazing Parenting with Allah by My Side 5-day challenge. As you've heard, my name's Farah Halabi, and I am a transformational life coach serving professional Muslim women. I'm certified in the science of the Nafs, and through this Quranic psychology model, I work with Muslim women really to help them understand the challenges and problems in their lives and overcome them by guiding and supporting them to create the solutions for themselves from themselves so that they can create the life that they want, to live a life they love. In this session, I'll be speaking about how to establish that spiritual connection, which I'm super excited to be talking about, because if any of you have attended any of my talks before, you'll know that I love to talk, I love to ask questions, I'm a bit of a nosy Parker, but I also like to really get to the root and the cause of the struggles that we face. And I think one of the most common struggles that I see and challenges for Muslim parents is how we do Ramadan as parents, and then firstly when we've got our babies, and then how we navigate having little ones, like little ones, and then smaller children, and how we do Ramadan whilst they are of that age, and then as they grow older, how we involve them and prepare them for how to do Ramadan whilst we're still doing it, and then when they're older, how they do Ramadan at all, if at all, whilst we are also trying to do it. So there are the different stages really, not only for us with our responsibilities and duties as Muslims, but then our responsibility and duties as parents to help our children fulfill their rights and responsibilities and duties as Muslims whilst we're doing that too. And it can sometimes be a little bit overwhelming. So to really simplify that and to really help to lay down a foundation of preparation really, and to give ourselves the best setup to optimize Ramadan, we really do need to go back to the source, the intention, the purpose. Now, we're told in Surah Al-Ra'd, verily in the dhikr of Allah do hearts find rest. And in my coaching, in the way that I help my clients, it's really based on that formula. That is the formula to living a really great life. And dhikr is often translated as remembrance, but it's just another word for thought, because how do we remember anything? We recall it to memory. We think about it. So it's verily in the thinking of Allah do hearts find rest, peace, sukoon, tranquility. And that sounds wonderful, doesn't it? You know, who doesn't want a bit of peace and tranquility and sukoon in their hearts? But when you're on the prayer mat, or when you're trying to read Quran, or when you're trying to have that connective, but that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala through your salah, and your baby's screaming and your kids are fighting and the whole house is just going like crazy, it might be a little bit difficult. So I'll be speaking really about how to optimize what you can do to really get the most out of your Ramadan experience by optimizing what you've got going on, optimizing your space, your time, but ultimately optimizing you, because you, like me, like all of us, we are human beings. And the way that we are described in the Quran and how we have been created or manufactured, if you like, as decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is through what makes us human is our spiritual, psychological, and physiological makeup, if you like, those three elements of us. And so by optimizing each of those elements, prioritizing our spiritual connection, prioritizing our physical, not just our physical, but the logistical parts of our lives, and also our psychological, our thinking. Like I said, it's in the thinking of Allah that our hearts find rest. It's in that connection, our thinking, how we see him, how we expect it, what we expect of him, how we see him, that makes us that human, that gives us our humanness, if you like. So in order to give ourselves the best chance of having a successful Ramadan, being able to worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the way that we want, we need to help ourselves be set up more for success rather than that failure, because no one wants that. No one wants to fail, really. We're all looking for tips and techniques, and this 5-day challenge has been all through the lens of helping us do that, helping us be successful, helping us have the Ramadan that we want, with all of the different speakers, mashallah. So in this session, what we'll be talking about really is that, actually, I'll stop waffling now. Has anyone heard the saying that failing to prepare is preparing to fail? So what we're going to be doing is preparing ourselves for success, preparing ourselves for the opposite of failure, preparing ourselves for the optimum way that we want, inshallah, to be doing Ramadan. So preparing ourselves for Ramadan, it happens before, because that's why we're here. That's why we're talking about this now. That's why the challenge has been this week and not in Ramadan itself or even after Ramadan. We're going to be preparing ourselves for what happens in Ramadan right now. And what I want you to do is take away something really practical and something that you can do now that will get you ready to actually make Ramadan, the best Ramadan in your life. I don't even know if we want to go for that. Well, it's certainly going to be the best Ramadan in your life because it's the only one that's here right now. And you might feel that in times gone by that you've had good Ramadans or not so good Ramadans, but none of them, and I say this in the most respectful of ways, none of them at the moment matter right now. And by that, I mean, the only thing that matters is what we do right now. Because we can't go back in the past and change what's happened. We can't go back and worship Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in the past. But what we've got is what we do right now. And so to prepare and lay that foundation and help us experience and optimize that experience right now, what we do right now will give us what we will have in the future. So Ramadan, I don't know where you are in the world, but where I am, it's around about 2 weeks away. We're looking at the 3rd of April. So What we're going to be figuring out today is what we can do right now to give us the chance of having the best Ramadan that we want. And I don't know about you, but there seems to be, I don't know if you've heard this word a lot, but the buzzword of the moment, especially in like self-development and different psychological fields, is that we're always talking about being present in the moment. But what I'm going to do is put forward a slightly different approach. Yes, you do need to be present, absolutely, but you also need to be future focused, because if you're not future focused, then you're going to miss out on the future that you do want, or the outcome that you do want. And being as this session is about Ramadan, that hasn't happened yet. So what we're doing in this 5-day challenge is preparing ourselves now for the future outcome that we do want. And being here right now, we're laying the foundation of how we want our future to be created, but we're creating that now. And I might have said the word future and creating a load of times. So I'm going to simplify it really down to the future that you want, the Ramadan that you want, how you want to experience it can be created right now in the present. But you need to know now how you want your Ramadan to go, what you want to achieve in Ramadan. We're talking about establishing that spiritual connection, but with the, what you can do on a logistical, physical level in your home right now. But an example of having that future focus, but in the present, is if you've ever booked on holiday, you choose somewhere, you decide, you make a decision, you have that choice element, and you decide where you're going to go, and then you work backwards. So the decision's been made, you're going to wherever it is you're going to go, and then you work backwards to what it is you need to do right now to get you to where you want to be. So you buy a ticket, sort your visas out, pack a bag, you do the psychological prep, which is making the decision, and then you do the physical prep, the booking of the tickets, the packing of the bag, the making sure that you've got the visas. You're doing the actions that are going to take you to that decision that you've already made. You want to go and spend 2 weeks in the Maldives, let's just say, which is beautiful, by the way. I'm sure that if there's anyone watching from Maldives, you're sitting there going, yeah, absolutely is. It's, mashallah, it's beautiful. But what we're going to be doing here is establishing that spiritual connection Ramadan, making that the destination, if you like. So having that as our decision, we are going to have a spiritual connection. We're going to have a great Ramadan. We're going to be, doing what we want to be doing, but we are going to have a spiritually connected, a wonderful Ramadan. That's the decision. That's the destination. And now what we're doing is reverse engineering the steps that will get us to that end. Because Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala tells us that he is as we think of him. I am as my servant thinks I am. I am as my servant expects of me. So if we think of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala in a certain way and have a certain expectation of him, that's how we're going to experience him. And that's how we experience life, through what we think. So if we have set the expectation that we are going to have a great Ramadan, a wonderful Ramadan, and have that expectation, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us what we want, we're asking him, but we're going to be doing the work. We're going to be tying our camel, not a literal camel. I don't know, maybe some of you might have camel. I've never ridden a camel, actually. I don't know. I don't know if anyone else has. If they have, I'd love to know. Pop it in the chat. It'd be nice to know what it feels like to ride a camel. Not that has anything to do with Ramadan, but I am digressing. But going back to subhanAllah, the steps that you can take right now. So there's a couple of things that you can do in the physical sense, but I wanted to allude to optimizing what I said before about optimizing you. So we're not just optimizing your space, we're optimizing you. And as a physical, psychological, and spiritual being, we can optimize each of those elements. So the preparation ahead of time is your thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So that's psychological prep. And he tells us, like I said, that he is, I am as my servant thinks I am. So by having the best expectations, the best thinking, and consuming our minds with that every day now, between now and Ramadan, we're setting our psychological part, if you like, to have a great Ramadan. We're doing that prep. We're laying that foundation. I am going to have the best Ramadan. I expect the best Ramadan for me. And I know Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is going to give it to me. So if we even make that intention every single day, that expectation, we will see what we expect. We will see the fruits of our thinking, and we will see that in our Ramadan. So that's the first thing. That's the psychological prep, if you like. The spiritual prep is alongside that, because alongside the thinking of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, establishing that spiritual connection. Well, like I say, we are physical, spiritual, and psychological beings. So in order for us to feel that spiritual connection, we can do that by infusing all the parts of us with the intention to please Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And the physical part of this now is what Sarah and Sister Farida were talking about before. And it's the logistical stuff, it's the physical stuff that we can do by think back to, and I know that, well, I don't know what it's like in where you are with regards to the pandemic restrictions or policies, but I'm thinking back to 2 years ago when we were going into, in the country where I am in the UK, going into lockdown. March 16th it is now. So 2 years ago, we're on the cusp of everyone was thinking of they're going to close schools, what they're going to do. And everyone was thinking about life as they know it being very, very different. And Ramadan, as we knew it in that first year of lockdown, was very, very different. The masjids were closed. The usual habitual coming and going, the iftars, the family gatherings, everything, it was different. We had to navigate Ramadan from a very different mindset, in a very different way. But however which way we did it, we created the solutions for ourselves. We couldn't go to the masjid. We made our home a masjid. We were praying at home. We were praying with maybe the people that we wouldn't usually pray with. If the men folk in your family go to Tarawih prayers or to the masjid and don't pray at home for Isha and the evening prayers, they were doing it last year and the year before. So it was different. We did what we could with what we had. So this is very much doing what you can with what you've got, but setting yourself up for the best outcome. So creating a visual space, a dedicated space. If we go down to who we are as human beings, we are really, really blessed, alhamdulillah, to know the answers of two questions that, you know, humans all over the world from like centuries before have really worried and pondered about. Who am I and why am I here? Well, we're really lucky as Muslims to know that we are creations of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and we are here to worship him. He tells us in Surah Al-Baqarah that he did not create jinn or mankind except but to worship him. So our purpose, why we're here, is to worship him. And so by creating a purposeful place of a dedicated space where it's the intention to worship, whether it is a little space somewhere in your home, and it doesn't have to be the only place, but if you think about, like, if any of you wear a uniform, or your children, they know that when they put their uniforms on, it's school mode. Like Sister Sarah was saying that, you know, they might have come out from playtime, from PE or wherever they've been, but they attribute and associate their classroom to a certain way of being. It's like when we go to the masjid, we know, even though there might be signs or there might not be, that when you enter a masjid, that the purpose of being there is to pray, is to act or behave in a certain way. So when we go, our voices might be lowered. We may walk slowly. We may attend and behave in a way that is fitting to our surroundings. At home, we don't have that, unless you live in a masjid, I don't know. But at home, we don't have that. But what we do have is dedicated spaces in our homes for the things that they are purposed for. So our bedrooms will have a bed, because the purpose of a bedroom, well, the purpose of a bed is to sleep on it, is to aid our sleep. So we know that when you're in bed, it's not like you're there and you're expecting to have a shower, because you're in bed, you're not in the shower, you're not in the bath. So by creating a purposeful space with the intention, with the deliberate intention of what that space is for, i.e. prayer, you would have a little designated nook, wherever it is. It could be in your bedroom, it could be in your living, wherever it is. But by having a visual space that is dedicated to the purpose of prayer as a visual prompt, it's setting you up with the association that, yeah, that's prayer. And for an adult, we get it. You know, we go to a mosque and we get it. We know that we go in. For children, it may be a bit more, it's just different. So by getting them involved in creating this space, by having things that are age appropriate, that are relevant to them. And I've got a couple of things. I've got a couple of examples actually of what we did in my home in lockdown, in the first Ramadan that we spent in lockdown. And actually, to be fair, I think we've done this before, even before lockdown. But what we do, and what I've done with my children over the years, is to build our own masjids out of cardboard boxes. And it went from having a little one, like made out of cereal boxes. We just collected like from the recycling, like kitchen rolls for the minarets, a tennis ball, which we popped on the top for the dome, cereal boxes to create the shape of it. We had some furniture delivered at one point, so we had massive big cardboard boxes. So as the structures kind of got bigger and bigger over the years, and to be fair, I had the most fun doing it, because at one point the kids weren't even interested. It was like, oh, I want it, because it was really, really lovely. But getting our children involved, so having a designated space and then involving your children in how they relate to that space. So like I said, you know, maybe creating some kind of masjid for yourself, or even just having a prayer mat that is out all the time, that's purposely there. So you've got, I don't know, maybe your prayer clothes, maybe the children's prayer clothes. Even one of the things that I also did with my children was to make their own prayer mats. So we just got some material and they got fabric paint. And they painted, you know, they popped their names on them. We decorated them. We had like sequiny bits. We had tassels. We had all sorts. I mean, aesthetically, it did not look like the most, you know, loveliest thing, but the kids loved it. But they were involved, and they knew that they had made something that, when I say time for prayer, that it's there, it's ready. It's not an additional thing that we have to think about. It's not, okay, can you go and put the prayer mats out? Can you go and you know, get everyone together? Can you go and do, you know, set it out? It's there, it's done. All we have to do is turn up. Like literally, the stage is set, if you like. And we had fairy lights, and we had, for the younger ones, we had a little Arabic alphabet book. I had my Quran there. For my older children, we had books and stories of the prophets. We had books on the 99 names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And it was all dedicated. It was a dedicated reading nook. It was a dedicated contemplation place. It was a dedicated connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala booth, if you like. But it was there for a purpose. The purpose of that place, much like your bathroom has a purpose, your bedroom has a purpose. This was a space that was purposeful of worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, which is our purpose. So it kind of feeds into it. So one of the other ways in which we were able to associate that, because on a visual level, the kids know, and I knew that it was there. I didn't have to set anything out. It was done, it was dusted. But that is only part and parcel of it. The physical element is only part. It's a big part, but it's still only a part. The spiritual prep and the psychological prep, by having that visual space, having, you know, my prayer hijabs out there, ones for the girls, for the boys, they had their hats, they had their prayer mats. They had tasbihs, they had their things, they had their books. But what we also did was something that maybe I didn't allow before as much, but actually doing what I can with what I've got. And alhamdulillah, there are so many amazing apps for kids. I know that screen time might be a bit of a point of contention in your home, but if our children are going to be on screens, we may as well give them something that is helpful to them. And there are some amazing apps for Ramadan. There are some amazing ways in which children can be engaged. So if you wanted, I don't know, a 5-minute slot to be able to read in peace or do your salah in peace, doing what you can with what you've got if your 2-year-old is not going to stand next to you and pray with you, giving them something to occupy them, but through the lens of what you're doing that relates to what you're doing, whether it be colouring, whether it be, there are some amazing, beautiful Arabic and Islamic colouring books nowadays with stories. There's Play-Doh, and if you've ever heard anything of what I've said about Play-Doh, I don't like it. Kinetic Sand and Play-Doh were like, but I succumbed and I got this beautiful set, and it was Arabic letters, the shapes. So at one point, I think my littlest one, actually, I think even my eldest daughter, who was probably 8 at the time, she absolutely loved it. So they were there, they were doing it. It's something in the lens of what you are doing, connecting with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So it helps you then be able to concentrate on what you're doing, knowing that the kids are all right, knowing that the kids are involved in something that is within the parameter of thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, is, they're doing something that at least helps you know that they're okay, that they're fine. Then you can crack on. You've got your logistics, you've got your physical bits sorted, and you've got your psychological bits sorted, if you like. You kind of, you know that you're there for a purpose. You're going to expect the best of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, and you know that you're going to get it from him. And that spiritual connection, infused with the other 2 parts of you, you're there in your physical, you're there in your spiritual, you're there in your psychological. You are setting yourself up and optimizing everything that you can with the expectation that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give you what you want, will make it easy for you. You are tying your camel, you are doing it. You've made the decision that this is what you're doing, that this is where you want to be. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, if we are doing anything to please him, obviously he's going to bless us, because that's what we want, isn't it? Isn't that what we're talking about? So to optimize and to set ourselves up for the best outcome starts with a decision. It starts with a choice that we make ahead of time. The choice that we are going to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. We are going to have the best Ramadan for us. We are going to be helping ourselves physically, psychologically, and spiritually, optimizing what we've got going on, knowing that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will give us what we want. We are doing what we can with what we've got, involving our children at the age appropriate way, setting up our physical surroundings, setting up our spirituals, not surroundings, not out there, but our spiritual innards, if you like, what's going on in here and in here, and really having the intention of pleasing him, doing what we can with the children that he has blessed us with, whether little, whether they're big, in whatever way, by involving them and by helping them be on board. Because, going off a little bit of a tangent here, our children are more likely, just as adults, we're more likely, we're going to be more inclined to do anything if we feel that we are part of that decision-making process, if we can see the benefits of it, the logic in it, but also the blessings of it. We're more likely to be involved in doing that. If any of you have been to a masjid where the prayer area is a little bit cold or a little bit, hard, or it's a bit dark, there are certain places where the prayer areas may be a little bit like that. Not saying that your prayers are going to be any less valid in those places, absolutely not. But that has an effect on, if you're there and you're cold and you're thinking about how cold you are and how hard the floor is, it might hinder that connection. It's more to think over, it's more to get over, it's more to overcome. Whereas by doing this, by setting yourself up for the best possible outcome, having that private little nook, having, your Quran sorted, your Qaidas, if you've got little ones, having everything at your disposal so that you are literally just good to go. It really is helping you set up for the best outcome, optimizing what you have, and inshallah, having the best Ramadan of your life. Now, I know that I've spoken for a while, I'm just going to ask the ladies, is there anything else? Sorry, I'm just waffling here, so I'm just talking to myself. Is there anything else that you wanted me to say, or anything that I've missed, or if I completely got off on one? I can't hear you. You're both muted now.
Sorry, Farida, go ahead. Farida, were you saying something? Just unmute yourself.
No, it's okay. I was just talking to my hubby.
Oh.
Has he got the kettle on?
Sorry.
Like, do you want the kettle on? No,
yeah,
mashallah. I'm just
but no, I thought it was really helpful. I think the preparation is key. I think it is kind of spiritually and the practical side of it. And it's just trying to get yourself into that kind of thinking and in that mode. And it's taken little steps. But on the other hand, it's not to beat yourself up either, not to make really big, I need to do this and I need to do that. I've learned over the years, I used to struggle. And, you know, if I didn't kind of achieve what I wanted to and have like you said, the best Ramadan, it would be like, I'm going to have to wait till next year now. I didn't do X, Y, and Z instead of thinking what I had done. So I have, over the last few years, I have taken a totally different approach and thought, right, I need to build up to this slowly. It's not like the night before, right? How do I prep? Well, I need to all of a sudden go into that mode. And I've allowed myself these last few weeks to slowly just increase even what I'm praying and just do those little add-ons. And that's helped me massively. It really has. And like having that dedicated space to pray, I absolutely love it. You know, and I was saying before you went live, it's having that space that brings me the peace. But I do think, like you said, Farah, it's the small things, isn't it? It's having the intention. And it's you know, mashallah, I mean, my daughter's grown up now, but thinking back when she was younger, yeah, you know, she'd lie across the prayer mat and wouldn't, you know, and all that. And when you've got a few children, it can be quite challenging. But I do like the idea of what you said about the apps and the colouring, just to keep them entertained while mum has that time to do what she needs to do. So yeah, valuable, very valuable advice.
Thank you. There was one thing that came to mind that that I know that I have struggled with before, and when I realised this, it was a real game changer in my mind. That for a lot of years, when the kids were really little, I thought that they were getting in the way of my ibadah. Yeah. Like they would, like literally, that they were there just really go on my nerves, and they were just getting in the way. You know, just like, off you go. I've got really important stuff here to do. I've got, you know, I've got worshiping Allah to do. I've got Salah. I've got, you know, things to do. And it was so bizarre to think of it like that now, that they weren't getting in the way of my ibadah, that they were actually a means of me, you know, worshipping Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that he gave them to me for a reason. You know, they were a little in that, they were babies. I think one of them, yeah, they were very little in Ramadan. One of them, I think, was just, was very little, only a couple of weeks old, a couple of weeks old, my eldest. And there is that wisdom that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala gave me a newborn at that moment to look after, that actually by the way in which I attended to him, if I was attending to him in Ramadan with the intention of pleasing Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, that was an act of ibadah, that he wasn't getting in the way, but he was a means of, you know, worship subhanahu wa ta'ala. So again, when we get our kids involved with you know, with life, because Ramadan's only a month of the year, it's not supposed to be, you know, we don't check out of life in Ramadan, but it's almost like we think, okay, Ramadan's here, so all normal practices have got to cease because I've got to be, you know, this certain person. But what we can do is actually hit Ramadan running, rather than, you know, getting to Ramadan and like thinking like starting something. If we're taking the little steps ahead of time, we can enter the month, subhanAllah, in a way that we want, have the month that we want, with not just realistic expectations, but realistic expectations of Allah, not of us. Because I think we've got a lot on our shoulders. We're like, I've got to do this, this, and this. And if I don't do it, then that's it, I'm stuffed. But actually, it's having the expectations that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will see everything that we do and will bless and reward us for it, if with the intention is to please him. So we can please him by doing, talked about this before, like holy ironing. I mean, during Ramadan, I was, alhamdulillah, for every piece of ironing that I very rarely do, but still, it was a thing of thinking about Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So we can turn anything into an act of ibadah if we're thinking about pleasing him. So sorry, I wanted to say that.
Yeah, no, I think that's a really important point, because it's 24/7, isn't it? It's not just us going to our prayer mat and praying there. It's that constant what we're saying, what we're praying, and we can do that anywhere.
Absolutely.
We can do that anywhere, day or night. So it's that's important as well. So yeah, I'm glad you've mentioned that, because I kind of very slowly have started to incorporate that as well. So yeah, that's really, really useful advice. Yeah. What about you, Sister Sarah? You're very quiet.
I know I am really quiet today. I'm not entirely sure why, but I just think, mashallah, it's just taking it all in and absorbing it myself, mashallah. Alhamdulillah. I really obviously agree with everything that Sister Farah said, and Jazakallah khair, you've brought a few actually additional little dimensions to my mind as well, mashallah. I did have the plan of doing the masjid for them finally, because normally I just make do with whatever we have, or we've got like a little play fence, and we've had it for about 4 or 5 years now for the little Hafsa. So I use that to divide the room. But I've saved my new fridge box for this, so we're going to try our best now. But for me, because we're doing this Ramadan challenge, and I was thinking about all of these things that I wanted to do anyway with my children, and I thought, we're going to share this inshallah in the group. So I kind of had this plan last week. Why don't you do all of these things that you're planning on telling everyone else to do this week, so you can share with them what you've actually done? And part of me this week is feeling a little bit guilty because I haven't managed to do all of these things. Obviously, most of it is because, as you guys know, Sister Farah and Sister Farida, you get my messages at 2 a.m. Bless you both. Yeah. So what I am doing. But definitely, inshallah, next week, let's start sharing pictures and things like that, and what everyone's got planned and what everyone's got ready. I did get some pictures and things from the internet, so you've got those examples of nice little cute prayer areas, and me and my kids were looking through them yesterday and saying, oh yeah, should we do that? Oh, should we do that? So again, getting them involved in the planning and the preparation, it also kind of conditions their mind as well, doesn't it? That inshallah they're ready to pray as well. And Sister Adila saying that, mashallah, when the kids are praying with us and then they ask us if they're doing it right, alhamdulillah, it's such a blessing, isn't it? And it is really cute. And it reminds me, actually, Sister Adila, I think it was last night or the night before, and I was praying and trying to put my two to bed at the same time. So normally what I say is, I'm just going to pray, and then, after I've prayed, we'll read more stories. But usually by the time I finish praying, they've normally knocked out, alhamdulillah. But Hafsa got out of bed and she sat next to me, but I didn't really notice her, to be honest. So as I prayed, I didn't realize where she was. And then I kind of got up and I looked at her bed and I'm like, where has she gone? And she's standing behind me and she's like, Mommy, you didn't hug me. And I was like, oh, sorry. Because whenever she prays, we do like a big, huge hug and a little tickle. And so she feels that, oh, wow, I've done something amazing, mashallah. And she loves that, after we pray, we have a little. So again, she's related that hug to praying. So she's like, oh, if I pray, my mom's going to play with me for a bit. And that's, again, another little thing. And again, like you said, the kids are not getting in the way. They're here, they're standing next to us, they're standing on top of us, behind us, wherever they are. But, inshallah, it's, they're part of us. We're part of them. The ibadah, everything is together, mashallah. So it's really, really lovely. And sisters on Facebook are saying it's been a really great session. Jazakallah khair for bringing it to us. Jazakallah khair to you, sisters, for coming along. And yeah, let's make this a Ramadan a masterpiece, inshallah. Definitely, for sure. Again, I can't see your names because of the thing, but inshallah, I'm sure, sisters, I'll come back into the chat. So if there's anything that you want to ask Sister Farah, she's here now. We can ask her any questions we like. It's ask Sister Farah anything. Yeah, and I wanted to say another thing, that with children, with Ramadan, we tend to, or I think a couple of years ago, I had this idea of like Ramadan has to be like almost perfect. And if it isn't, and she's rolling her eyes because she's all right, it doesn't have to be perfect. Calm down. So I had this idea that Ramadan had to be perfect. But why don't we have that idea during the rest of the year as well? Do you know what I mean? So if we have these habits and we make Ramadan more of a template for what we want our normal lives to look like as well, and I say normal lives, but you know what I mean, like the normal time of year, then it really helps you to kind of makes Ramadan easier for you, because generally you're doing a lot of these things anyway. So again, you use Ramadan as a template, as like the like one of the sisters just said, like a masterpiece, or like the kind of perfect version, as perfect as you can get it. Perfect for me is not perfect for someone else who's got little babies. Do you know what I mean? Or perfect for sisters that have got older kids. It's very different, and it's all up to you. And whatever your intention is, inshallah, Allah will reward you. Do you know what I mean? Inshallah. So but as long as you keep that as a template, as an ideal, and then the rest of the year, you'll find it a lot easier. I mean, because if you consider, does this happen to you guys as well? That the first couple of fasts are really hard, and you're always thinking about food, yeah. And then once you get into it, like 3 or 4 fasts later, it's so normal to fast. And then when it comes to Eid, again, it's odd, isn't it, when you start eating during the day? So then those fasts just after Eid, they're easier to keep because you're already fasting. You're already in that mode, right?
You've got yourself in that mode, absolutely.
Sorry, go on.
No, I was just saying, no, it's getting yourself in that mode and you're used to it then. And it's like, if we can do that just before Ramadan, so even creating, like doing the Sunnah fast, just a couple of weeks ahead of time. Again, we're preparing ourselves, we're laying a foundation, so it's not like a jump start. It's not like, we hit the first day of Ramadan, like, oh my goodness, okay, all right then, yeah, all right, I think I'm okay. Because subhanAllah, we can do, Ramadan shows us that we can do so much with a lot less than what we're used to. It's just getting that, it's just getting used to it. Again, warming ourselves up. But what we can do is, even if we want to, fast during Ramadan, the intentions, looking at what it is that we want to achieve in Ramadan. And something that you said was really, really important. I think as mums, we do this a lot. When we talk about reflecting, we don't mean reflecting. We mean beating ourselves up. Because reflection, true tadabbur, is really analysing how past Ramadans have gone, taking what went well and keeping that, what we'd like to improve on, and then, working on that. That's what reflection is, appraising almost, even having that like kind of very formulaic and formal appraisal. Like I know Sister Farida, obviously in her job, obviously, like previously, the formalities of really appraising and really having a look at what's gone right, what's gone not as well as you'd hoped, what you can do, tips for next time. That's reflection, not what we do. We're like, oh, I didn't do it very well last year at all. I was rubbish at this, didn't do that. And all we can see is the stuff that didn't go well. And we completely miss out on what we did do well. So if we can now, before Ramadan starts, actually think back, what did I do well? What was something that really did help me get to having the Ramadan that I wanted? What was something that maybe I'd like to not do this Ramadan? Not beating yourself up, accepting that happened then and how you would like to enter this Ramadan from a place of hope and expectation that it will go the way that you want to, but also it's that way of the way that I describe it is like Ramadan is a house guest that you're really, you've not seen for a while, and you're really looking forward to seeing them, and you're going to have a lovely time. And then when they go, you're sad that they're going, but you know that you'll see them again. But you're leaving that Ramadan with a sense of how the lovely times that you've had, knowing that they'll come back again and you'll have more lovely times too. So helping alleviate that guilt, because for a lot of us, it's like that idea of perfection. That's a real mind boggler, and it's a mind twister. So going for what it is that you want from Ramadan, you want to connect with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how you can do that in the best way for you with what you've got going on, not what everyone else has, but really what you have. And that really helps you kind of not have that sense of comparisonitis where you're looking at what everyone else is doing and thinking, oh, don't do it like that, I must be doing something wrong. Actually, you're perfect the way that you are with your imperfections. So, we connect to Allah from that place. And I know I've waffled completely there. I'm awfully sorry.
No, it's fantastic, because that is the idea. Like when you do your appraisals, and I think, like you said, in a professional setting, whenever you get your appraisal back, the first thing you do is you look at their comments, don't you? You're not bothered about all the ticks that you've got at the top in number, in the highest number. Ours was 5, but like you're not bothered about the 4s and the 5s. You're bothered about what was the comment. Right, and that's what you directly go to, the one where they say what you have to improve. And then a lot of the time, when you've got an experienced teacher or an experienced professional in whatever you're doing, they find it really hard to find something to give you to improve on. So they write something really random, and then you end up getting really bogged down with it. And it takes you a few years, doesn't it, to understand what they're writing and why they're writing it. They just got to fill that box in. But for us, what we do is we look at all the negative things, all the things that we did wrong, all the times that we, might have slept through suhoor and we just managed to wake the kids up for 10 seconds to have some water and things like that. But everyone, we all go through it, guys, so don't worry, guys. Sorry, ladies, sisters, we all go through it, so inshallah it'll be fine. And Sister Zaida said that we are all role models for our children, and that's absolutely true. So what Sister Farah said about feeling guilty, just remove the guilt. Don't feel guilty. Feel like I am doing the best I can with the resources I have, with the time that I have, with the money that I have, with the space that I have, with the house that I have. If we don't think like that, we're going to find it really difficult. And Sister Shanaz said, mashallah, lovely talk. She really enjoyed it, mashallah. And Sister Adila said, Jazakallah khairan, sisters, for your inspiring advice. I don't know why I'm in trouble talking today. And then Sister said, mashallah, we need these kind of innovations. Yeah, we've got to be careful with innovation, Sister, but yeah, I get what you're saying. And Sister Shanaz said that she's got 4 children, mashallah. The 3 are girls. The youngest is a boy who's 8. He's been wanting to fast for the last 2 years. And last year, he fasted a whole day, mashallah, without suhoor. And she said, but the problem with him is that he doesn't like to get up for suhoor and he doesn't eat much. So should I let him fast or not? That's a good question there, actually. What do you think, sisters?
Is she in the UK? Because I'm just thinking that the first 2 weeks of Ramadan fall in the Easter holidays. So maybe being at home, and again, keeping an eye on him, because he's not accountable yet. So keeping an eye on him. And if he wants to, that's half the battle when they're older, isn't it? It's like getting them to actually want to do anything. So while he wants to,
they only want to do it when they don't have to do it.
Absolutely. So while he wants to, helping him along, and maybe him seeing that if he's feeling a little bit, I don't know, weaker or during the day, explaining to him that's what suhoor is there for a reason. It's not to wake you up in the middle of the night to upset your sleep. It's to give you the best start. So helping him again find his feet, find the way of him doing it, but involving him in that. So whilst he wants to, I would absolutely say, yeah, absolutely let him, but just keep an eye and help him keep that communication open with you so that he can tell you how he's feeling and what's going on for him. And then just, you're his mum, you know him. So helping him, with his journey. Absolutely.
It's lovely, mashallah. And one of the things that we did, actually, it's a good point to mention. When we were kids, my mum and my aunt we would desperately want to fast, Like I remember, sometimes waking up when my mum and dad would try to be really, really quiet, and I'd be like, ha, I woke up, and they'd be like, you've got school in the morning, especially when you're little, about 7 or 8, and you're really desperate to fast. So what they used to say to us was so in Punjabi, you call your fast a roza, right? So it doesn't make sense if I say put your fast in the fridge in my head, but I know it makes sense in English. But we used to say, put your roza in the fridge. So what we used to do was we used to open the fridge, take your roza out, put it inside the fridge, then eat something. And then you would finish eating, go back to the fridge and take your roza out and put it back in. That's what we used to do. And psychologically, again, it was like, I'm not talking about the Balig children, please don't get me confused, but I'm talking about the little ones when they're really desperate, and they're like, we really want to fast, but they can't really handle it, especially if they've got school and stuff. So that's a really nice way. We used to love it, actually. We used to be like, I'm just going to put my rosa in the fridge for a bit. We thought we were fasting, we were like amazing because we've kept a whole fast. Have you fasted all day? Yeah, I did. It doesn't take from that happiness that they have. Do you know what I mean? So I don't know about you guys. Do you have any tips for little ones as well? Like, is there any other way you can psychologically help them fast?
I guess asking them what they want, like what they mean by it as well, because sometimes I know for my littlest one, my daughter, she was under the assumption that the suhoor was the fast, like that was, if you're fasting, that's it. It's like, because she just saw food. She was like, she felt she was missing out on a mealtime, and food is very important to my youngest daughter. So she's like, I want some of that, not realizing that by having that meant that the whole day we don't have any more. But she was like, oh no, but I want to fast, meaning I want to eat then. So really just keeping the conversations open with them, of what it means for them, what fasting means. And there's always, every day's a school day, isn't it? You can teach your children something in the little things by getting a lens on what it means for them, because what it means for us is going to be very different. So it's a beautiful way of connecting with your kids in a way that makes sense to them. So open communication is what I would say.
Yeah, and I think that you've hit another nail on the head there, because with my mum, she used to she is the eldest sister-in-law, so she was one of the key people in the house. And when she moved out, fasting and things like that, my grandma, bless her, she would do it. But sometimes they would come to have suhoor at our house, because my mum could then cook and everything for us. It's my grandma, granddad, and the 2 sons. And then when my grandma passed away, my 2 uncles would come by themselves, and they would come in for suhoor. So again, it was that exciting time. It was like, oh, chachas are here, so because the uncles are here now, it's like, oh, I want to be awake. Why are you making me sleep? So again, you're right. It's that time of, I want to participate in whatever's going on. So alhamdulillah, it's a lovely idea. And Sister Shana said she lets her son do most of them like that. He goes without food for a few hours, and then I'll tell him that he can eat or drink if he's feeling hungry. And that's perfect, mashallah. Just give them, that freedom. And mashallah, it's fantastic. I've really, really enjoyed today. Again, mashallah, jazakallah khair, Sister Farah.
Thank you so much.
Oh, thank you. It's been lovely hanging out with you 2 ladies. I wish, earlier, but alhamdulillah.
We'll stay on for a little while after. But yeah, jazakallah khair, everybody. Thank you so much for joining us. We've really, really enjoyed it today. And inshallah, whoever's watching, if you're watching later on the replays, then please do let us know if there's still any questions. Sister Farah is in both of our parenting Facebook groups, and obviously she can reply to you if there's any questions at all. And again, jazakallah khair. Thank you so much for coming on. Sister Farida, do you have any closing words?
No, I just want to say again, valuable advice for all the mums out there. It's just take small steps.
It's fantastic. And Sister Farah?
Don't put any pressure on yourself. You will have the Ramadan that you're meant to. Your connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is between you and him. So just do what you can with what you've got, and leave the rest to him, because he sees what you do.
It's Fantastic, mashallah. So tomorrow, we have been talking about the kids a little bit today, but tomorrow we'll be talking about a little more about the children and giving more advice and little tips on the children and how to keep them occupied, how to convince them, you know, that they must fast if they're older, they've hit puberty, and how to get them, give them that advice, like as in that we normally have to. And Dr. Dalia Al-Masri will be here tomorrow, inshallah. And she's got a wonderful webinar planned for us tomorrow. I've seen that as well. So mashallah, it's lovely.
What time is it, Sarah? Sorry.
It's at the normal time of 1 o'clock. So for Sister Farah, we started a little bit earlier, but for Sister Dalia, will be at the normal time of 1 o'clock. And then on Friday, inshallah, we've got Sister Zakia Ali coming along. So she'll be coming along telling us about getting that connection with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. And we have something else planned, don't we, Sister Farida?
We do. We've got our own virtual souk on Friday. So it'll be running from 9 o'clock in the morning till 12 o'clock midnight. And we've got quite a lot of vendors with all different gifts, clothes, and there's all sorts, you know, there's artwork, and there's an opportunity for all the women to do their Eid shopping in advance and not leave it to Ramadan as well. So it takes the stress. So the Islamic clothing, and we've got a whole range. So yeah, it'll be exciting on Friday.
Yeah, the Facebook group's going to be buzzing. So if you're not in there, please do join us. We've got lots of people coming in, and they're going to help you get ready for Ramadan and Eid. So we don't have to worry about shopping and all the busy shops. You know how busy it gets the couple of days before Eid. Everyone starts going, oh yeah, I need some clothes. Well, guess what? You guys are going to be all sorted, right? Everything will be sorted for you, inshallah. And that's the plan, so that we can go into Ramadan all sorted and ready, inshallah. So it's been absolutely wonderful seeing you guys today, mashallah. Thank you, sisters, and thank you, sisters, who've come to join us in the chat, and definitely, inshallah, we will see you tomorrow. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.